Today, I want to talk about what happens when there's no sermon. No polished outline, not a strategic plan, no perfectly timed band cue, just a hunger. Since February 11th, something has been unfolding at Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida. Students are gathering. Classes have been canceled. There's no dismissal time to this event, no performance, just worship. It began during a Unite Us gathering. It deepened after a session with Jenny Allen, and then confession. Thousands of students openly confessing. Repentance without coercion. Tears without shame. Praise without choreography. And it has continued non-stop. Many have compared it to the 2023 awakening at Ashbury University, and then a University of Central Florida. Over 5,000 students gathered. 1,600 made decisions to follow Christ. But here's what really struck me. My pastor from Victory Church, he went with his youngest daughter. He came back a changed man. And when he led us, there was no organized message. He just praised. And something moved. Not hype, not emotion manufactured, but presence. And that is where this song was born, On My Knees. There is something sacred about removing performance from worship. When there's no agenda, ego doesn't have a place to hide. Revival doesn't start with production value. It starts with surrender. The students didn't gather to impress heaven. They gathered because they were hungry. Hungry for freedom. Hungry for repentance. Hungry for something real. And I begin thinking, how many times in my own life have I tried to pray, standing tall, composed, polished, still holding on to a little pride? But something shifts when you fall to your knees. Kneeling changes posture. Posture changes perspective. On your knees, you're not negotiating. You have true surrender. And that's when the clouds part. One of the most powerful lines in my song, "You seemed a world away then, now closer than my breath." That line came from lived experience. There were seasons in my life where I knew God intentionally, but I did not feel Him emotionally. And when we don't feel, we assume a distance. But God doesn't measure proximity the way that we do. Distance is not an absence. Silence is not abandonment. There were moments I thought my prayers were whispers dissolving into the wind. But what if they were being lifted? What if every tear was being counted? What if heaven was nearer than my fear? Revival reminds us of nearness, not because God moved closer, but because we finally did. The most radical part of what's happening at SEU, it's not the prayer, isn't even the singing. It is, however, the confession. Open confession is violent to pride. And pride is heavy. When students begin to confess openly, something breaks. Shame loses its oxygen. And when shame suffocates, freedom breathes. That's why the atmosphere was described as freedom. Because when you kneel and say, I am yours, without qualification, chains fall quietly. There's no spectacle needed. On my knees, as I kneel to pray, the clouds race above. The finish line must be grand. I speak to you. My words take flight, dancing softly through the air, doing a little two-step all the way into your open ears. I've always known you were there with me, even when you felt so far. No human hand could take you away from me, though distance fooled my heart. You seemed a world away back then, now closer than my breath. I thought my prayers were falling like whispers in the wind, but you were lifting me higher, held safely in your wings. On my knees I pray, make me whole again. I am yours, my God, and you are mine. You are my everything, my refuge in the storm. No more anger, no more doubt. I surrender all. So unaware, all I had to do was call upon your name. I thought my voice meant more than faith, but you were just the same. You lifted me on angels' wings, protected through it all. This world may try to shake my soul, but it will never fall. I thought I was lost, alone inside the night, but you were always standing mighty, pure and strong. On my knees I pray, make me whole again. I am yours, my God, and you are mine. You are my everything, my refuge in the storm. No more anger, no more doubt. I surrender all. You were near when I couldn't see. You were strong when I was weak. You were love when I felt none. And were light when hope was gone. Never wavering, never far. You held my broken heart. On my knees I pray, make me whole again. I'm yours, my God, and you are mine. You are my everything, forever. No more anger, no more fear. I surrender here. I surrender here. There was a time I thought my prayers had to impress God, but God was never impressed by performance. He was moved by posture. On my knees I pray, make me whole again. Wholeness begins with honesty. There's something profoundly comforting about a God who does not panic when I do. Revival is not emotionalism. It is, however, alignment. It is hearts returning to original design, going back to where we all came from. When anger falls off, when doubt loosens its grip, when fear loses its authority. That is revival. And it doesn't have to happen in a chapel. It can happen anywhere. In your car, in your kitchen, your bedroom floor, on your knees. Today, I am not here to hype anything up. I want to invite you, however, into a posture. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you just feel so distant. Try kneeling. Not because God needs the symbolism, but I think we do. Whisper it. Make me whole again. I am yours. And if revival is happening anywhere in this world, let it start with us. I surrender. Come with me, my friend. Journey with Nicole.